With Democrats falling in line behind Vice President Harris's campaign, Donald Trump has settled on a line of attack for his all but certain new opponent. Take a listen.
Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe. She's a real liberal. She really is a real liberal. If Kamala Harris gets in, she would be the most radical far-left extremist ever to occupy the White House times 10.
Former Bush White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer said, quote, "If you combine Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, you get Kamala Harris," unquote. Is it not true that a President Harris would be the most progressive president in American history? And in your view, isn't that a good thing?
What I see is a vice president who is ready to be president, and she's going to do this based on two principal things. The first one is economic. She's been out there fighting for working families. I first got to know her 14 years ago when she was the one who was shoulder to shoulder fighting back against the giant banks that were foreclosing against the homeowners that they had tricked and were now going to force them to lose their homes. And she's stayed with that all the way through now, helping veterans get rid of medical debt they don't owe and getting rid of junk fees. She fights for working families. The other is she is the national leader on making sure that we restore Roe versus Wade. We now live in an America where 30% of all women live in states that effectively ban abortion. And if Donald Trump and J.D. Vance get their way, it's going to be 100% of women because they want a nationwide abortion ban. And J.D. Vance, wow. J.D. Vance says no exceptions. Kamala Harris, if she can get the right kind of Congress, a Democratic Congress, is going to sign Roe versus Wade into law so that every woman across this country is fully protected. Those are going to be the big issues, and she is a right person to lead on them.
When you endorsed Vice President Harris, you said, quote, "Who better than a former prosecutor to take on Donald Trump?" Now, it wasn't that long ago, the 2020 primaries, you were running, she was running. Progressives were criticizing her as Kamala the Cop. It's a label she actively tried to distance herself from, including by expressing support for some of the arguments behind the defund police, the police movement. Not in favor of defunding the police, but talking about the need to re-examine funding for cops. Given the defund the police movement, given the Black Lives Matter movement, given where your party's base seems to be on these policing issues, is it a risk for her to lean into her prosecutorial background?
Not at all. You know, Kamala is someone who started out as a prosecutor. She put away gang members. She worked very hard for the protection of the people of California. But look where she and the Biden-Harris administration have gone. What's happened in the time during that they have been in office is that we have surged resources to our first responders, surged resources to make sure that both the police have the resources they need, but also when a 911 call comes in, that sometimes it should be answered by a police officer, but sometimes by a social worker or public health official who needs to deal with a different kind of crisis. It's been the Democrats who have put money into that. And by the way, I should say, every single Republican voted against that kind of funding to help make us all safer and give better responses for those who are out on the front lines.